point number 5 on this list could dramatically improve your life today. So it's definitely worth giving your time to this video. Hello there, beautiful people. I hope you're having a fantastic day. So today's video, I'm going to be talking about seven harsh truths in my life that I've had to learn, that have been difficult for me to learn and accept, that I wish I knew when I was 20 years old or even 25 years old, and how much time it would have saved me if I had figured these out a lot earlier. So the first point I'm going to give to you, and I really wish this one was not true, but unfortunately it is a reality. There are no shortcuts in life. That's my first point. No shortcuts. It's such a hard thing to swallow. I was always going out looking for the shortcut. Where is the sneaky link to the top? And I could never find it. I was always looking for the elevator when you have to climb the stairs. And unfortunately, every time you try to do that, you will end up detouring off the path, getting lost, and not making it there. The difficulty is you will see people in life who do manage to take the elevator, but you gotta realise for them it's like winning the lotto. It is such a rare exception, unless you are somebody that has an X factor about you. You just have something phenomenal going on there, and then you won't even be watching videos like this because you'll already have taken off some way. So people who have an X factor, they can do it, and some people just get lucky, right? But assume you are not going to be one of those people. Assume you have the opposite of luck. There are no shortcuts in life. You will not get lucky, so you've got to go the long road. And when you accept that, the sooner you can accept that, the quickest way for you to be successful is to take the long path and to just work at it. And it may take you a few years, but if you commit to it, it will become the best, quickest way for you to be successful. Every shortcut you try and take, it will make the path longer than it had you just took the long path to begin with. So that's point number 1. There are no shortcuts. Just accept you have to go down the long path. Get it into your brain and you will become successful much quicker. Point number 2 is hard work does not equal success. I'm going to say it again. Hard work does not equal success. Lots of people have told you, you got to work hard, you got to work really hard. And you can work hard, and I've done this, and I've been guilty of this for many, many years, trying to work hard. But if you work hard at the wrong things, you will not become successful, right? And there's obviously the examples of, people working in mines, they're working hard for pennies, child labour. These people are working hard and they're not successful, of course, right? That's one aspect of it. But really, when we're talking about this, trying to become something, being successful in life, you can work hard doing things. You can be busy, you can be working, you can be filling your time, being productive. And you can even work hard doing things that you think are going to move the needle. But you could just be going in the complete wrong direction. You could be working hard on things that you shouldn't have been working hard on. And you will end up not becoming successful out of it because you'll burn out. And because it takes so much work over so many years, like I was saying in the previous point, you got to work at this for a long time. There's no shortcuts. And every time you take a shortcut, you've got to work hard at that shortcut for trying to sprint. You're trying to sprint. But then you end up sprinting in so many different places. And so you've done years of hard work and you've got nothing to show for it. Hard work does not equal success. You've got to be on the right path. You've got to be pulling the right levers in life. And the right levers for you, because they're going to be different for everybody. So just hard work alone will not equal success. If you work on the wrong things, that are the wrong things for you, you will not go down the right path. And this is going to lead into my next point number 3, which is to lean into your strengths. And that is how you can then try to find the right place to go down, the right road for you. Because if you lean into your strengths, you're going to start to work hard at the right things. So to go back to point number 2, if you work hard at your strengths, work hard at the things that you will naturally have an aptitude for or naturally have a high interest, even a passion for, these things are going to result in you becoming successful in a way that is going to be more meaningful than working hard at the wrong things. For example, I am a designer. And I worked hard at being a designer for a long time, but I never wanted to be a designer. And so I was always resisting it. I was always holding back. I was only ever wanting to do this temporarily, be a designer, a graphic designer. And now I'm getting to a point where I've made it. I could have even made it even more if I'd wanted to. But because I was resisting, it took me longer to become successful as a designer, to then be like, okay, I've made it as a designer, I can now move on to the next thing because I've made some money here and there, whatever. I've proven to myself that I can make it. But like all of that, I worked hard at that for years, but it's all been just a detour in life. And there's reasons I went into in other videos like why I went down those paths. But the point is, I worked hard at that and I made it successful, but I never wanted to be that. And so it's deferring even the success of where I want to go in life. And then you can look at all the businesses I tried before that. And this is where I was trying everything here, there, and everything. And instead of leaning into what I was naturally good at, I tried a business over here and a business over there. And I was working hard at those things. But like, because they were so sporadic, I was all over the place. So I did not succeed in any of those. Rather than coming out of college, I had a degree in physics and I already knew how to program very well. I should have gone into doing every business venture to be a programmed-based type of software or an app, and just made like 50 of those, and probably eventually just by going hard and working hard at something, a strength of mine, lean into something that I had a natural aptitude and a skill set already developed in, it probably would have yielded greater results instead of me trying to, sell drones over there and do a dropshipping business here and do a print on demand and import. I tried to import coconut oil for one business. I tried building lightsabers for another business. And I did some app stuff and writing ebooks and blah, 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 and becoming a designer. And all these other business ventures I had, I did like 12 different things. None of them really took off because I was all over the place. Whereas I should have stuck down into my strengths. So that leans into point number 4, which is, once you found your strength, so find your aptitude, find the thing you're going to go into, is pick a path and go all in for it for years, right? And I never wanted to do this because I was always multifaceted as well. And this is why I was like, I can do everything. I cannot do everything. I want to do my music. I want to play the piano and make my music become successful to some degree, whatever that means. And what have you. And do all these other interests that I have. I didn't want to be the thing that I'm only good at this thing. I didn't want to be narrowed into a box. But the thing is, the quicker you become successful at that thing, the more you can then expand later. And then those other things that you expand into, you will find success easier upon those, rather than because you now are operating out of a place of strength and out of a place of flourishment. You are doing very well in life, and so now it is much easier to try other things you want to do in life, and you can expand into those later. It does not limit your life, and this is something I really struggled at. I didn't want to be boxed into being only one thing, so I was all over the place again and again. Because I was all over the place, you don't gain the compounding interest. And so you can see all of these points that I'm trying to make are all kind of very, very similar. They're all based upon each other, because this is what really I struggled at, with being all over the place and trying to take shortcuts when I should have just picked the path that I was a strength of mine and gone all in on it. And that would have been the quickest way for me to find success. And then I could have ventured into my other interests afterwards and made those successful as well. So to sum up so far, we have point number 1, which is there are no shortcuts. Point number 2 is hard work will not equal success if you're working on the wrong things. Number 3 is lean into your strengths, find your aptitudes, and then discover that and go and move towards those. Don't try and do things that you're not interested in, that aren't going to be good for you. Like me becoming a designer, that was not a strength of mine and it was a waste of time. And number 4 is to then pick your path, your strength, and go all in for it for years. And that's where you will work hard on your no shortcut path. And that's your quickest way to becoming successful. Okay, point number 5, here we are. And now this one is actually slightly different to the other ones, no longer linked directly to them. a different one. And this one, anybody can apply today and have great results almost immediately from doing this. And this is something I really struggled with, and I've only in the last few years really started to gain an appreciation for this, and I should have done it a lot earlier, which is how you present yourself has a massive impact on your life. A massive impact. You know, people absolutely 100% judge books by their cover. I know that's the saying is we don't judge a book by its cover, but 100% we all do, all the time, everywhere, and particularly for people. And for me, I had an identity as a dirtbag. For growing up, I never cared about how I looked and how I presented because I grew up poor. All of my clothes were hand-me-downs. My parents, you know, everything I got was from other people that my mother had friends who had their sons and they would give them their old clothes and then I got the clothes. And so always growing up, I had hand-me-down clothes. My mother used to cut my hair and my mum's not really into fashion or caring about those things. So I never cared about that. And then when I was a teenager and becoming like a punk or emo or whatever it was, like this is like anti-culture and like jackass and being a dirtbag was like identity, and I for some reason adopted that, and you know, I became like I didn't care about clothes or fashion or looking good because I was the opposite. I was the antithesis of that, and that was my identity, and it was a terrible identity to adopt because I looked like I was homeless, and for most of my life as a teenager and as in my 20s, I presented like a slob. I looked this, you know, I looked like I didn't respect myself. I didn't shave, I had long greasy hair, it was not a good look. I wore clothes that had holes in, I did not present myself well in any regard. And there was moments in there where I probably put on a suit and I looked better than other days, but for the most part, I did not take care of how I looked. And not only for other people, but for yourself. You feel better when you groom yourself, when you have a better haircut, when you shower and you wash and you're clean and you wear nicer clothes that fit you, that don't have holes in. And I know there's like fashion of all with it as well, you know, but like that's a whole other separate thing. You can do it wearing clothes with holes in and make it look trendy and fashionable. But I wasn't that. I was literally a tramp. And that's how I presented for years. And I think it hindered me because as soon as I started to present better, people treat you better. You treat yourself better and you feel more confident, but then also other people outside, they are more likely to engage with you, to want to be your friend, to talk to you and to come up to you. And you know, from that, I managed to have a girlfriend even from that. Didn't have one for years and years, like a decade, actually, over a decade already in my 20s. And then I start to look better and, you know, it didn't happen overnight, but people start to interact with you more and are willing to want to interact with you. I have another example of this. I went to a networking event when I was living in Canada, and I was there with my roommate, and I had just recently started to try and present myself better then. And I went with my roommate, and he was more like what I was doing before, living like looking slight. He wasn't as trampy as I was, but he was still not. He had presenting that well. And I went to this networking event, and I didn't really want to go. He wanted to go to it, and I was like, okay, fine, I'll go with you. So we didn't have to go alone. I went there, and I sit there at the side, just at this table, had a drink in my hand, and people started to come up and talk to me because I look like someone worth networking with. Not that I was like wearing a suit or anything. I was just wearing a top similar to this and had a bit of jewelry on, and not like fancy jewelry. I mean, just mean like this stuff and this, you know. And, you know, I look like a designer though. I was presenting as a designer, and then when people came up and they talked to me, and this is also part of like, I could be like, oh, I'm a graphic designer, blah, blah, blah. And like when you're in a business setting, that's always a useful thing to be. But I looked like somebody worth talking to. I'm not saying I was like super successful or anything or presenting as that, but he, on the other hand, struggled to find people to connect with. And he was quite a talkative guy, quite good at talking to people, but he was not attracting people to him by his presentation. And then eventually he was trying to sneak in at the back of me, and I was like, okay, he was trying to pee. And so I opened up the circle to allow him to join in with us and our conversation. But he struggled in that environment because of how he was presenting himself. Still looking kind of tramp-like. And I'm telling you, it's like you don't even have to try to some degree if you present yourself better as an identity of not being a tramp. And that, it doesn't mean you have to go out and buy like designer clothes and be the best looking guy ever. I'm not, or look smacks into the nth degree. It's just shaving, being well groomed, having a haircut, wearing clothes that fit you and don't have holes in, having a bit of jewelry or an accessory or two. And it makes a massive difference to how the world approaches you and sees you. And, you know, you talk about like pretty privilege. You know, I'm not saying you're going to get that, because if you're an average looking person, but you are doing a hindrance to yourself. And I was doing a hindrance to myself by presenting as a hobo instead of as somebody who looks like they take care of themselves. That's basically it. And that, I wish I had figured that out when I had been a teenager and started to do that. But growing up, my mother didn't care about it, I didn't care about it, and as a teenager that identity got stuck into me, and so through my 20s I was just on this other path, being a nerd, being a hobo, and in that whole scenario and identities, like how you looked and presented was not a big issue. You know, nerd culture, and I was a big nerd, like we didn't care about how you looked, you just wore a nerdy t-shirt and that was it, and then you got to adopt into this identity of being a nerd. And I was so deep into that I couldn't break out of it. And it was such a shame, because I think I would have had been, I'm not saying necessarily massively successful, but definitely had a lot more opportunities in life had I just presented myself a bit better. So I would highly recommend for all of you guys out there to just think about how you can present yourself slightly better in life. Like your basic visual appearance will, and it has such an impact on your day-to-day going about, and just go and do it. If you're like me, or if you have already figured that out, well done, big pat on the back for you. I wish I was like you. Congratulations for figuring that out. Point number 6 here is life is better when it's fun. Be more playful in life and less serious. Life is so much more enjoyable, so much more fun when you have fun, when you're playful throughout the day, throughout everything you're doing. I tend to go so serious. My brain is so analytical. I want to be more fun and more playful. And like life has not been so amazing for me in when I was in these failures and depressing. And yeah, I get it. It's hard and like you feel like crap. And it's hard to feel like you want to have fun and be playful in those moments. But like just try and be playful more in life. Be a child. Like imagine there's a baby in front of you and you're doing peekaboo with it, you know. Just try and be playful in life, in everything you do, and or just like at least every moment that you can, you know, when you're having a cup of tea, when you're talking with your friends, when you're, you know, making your dinner, whatever it is, just like sing a song, be more playful. I implore you, just enjoy and try and be less serious. Like with so much stresses in life, and the more you can just be playful and be more relaxed about things, and like being playful will make you feel more relaxed. It's kind of like a cat, because you like feel so tense and so serious and life is good, but like if you can start to be playful, start to laugh at things, you will start to relax. It's like a catch-22. Oh, like feel relaxed, you know, but like you can't just feel relaxed, but if you start to be playful, your body will start to feel relaxed. So yeah, I implore you to be more silly, be more fun, and just enjoy life. Less serious. If you can just laugh and enjoy the moments, life is so much better. So be more fun. And that's it. That's the shortcut to life. It's like in those moments. And which is my last point. Point number 7. Choose to be happy in the moment. Appreciate the small things. And if you can appreciate the small things, then you'll be able to be less serious and more playful and have fun. But it starts with appreciating the cup of tea that you're having. Oh, this is a lovely cup of tea. Every day you get to have a cup of tea. Oh, I'm listening to the birds outside. And listening to the birds is one of the best things you could do for your well-being and your mental health. Go and listen to birds outside. Go and watch the birds. There was a study done on it recently. Bird watching, amazing for you. But like, that's the small things. All the small things. Having a cup of tea. Like, enjoying watching your favourite show. Listening to your favourite song. Having a really nice sandwich. It doesn't have to be an elaborate thing. It can be a small thing in life. But just enjoy the small moments, because that's what life is made out of. All the small moments. All the big moments is easy to be happy with when you do something crazy, going on an adventure. But most of your life is the small in-between moments. And if you can choose to be happy in those moments, to just appreciate the small things in life, embrace and be grateful for the small moments, choose to be happy, that is where life is made. And then on top of that, you can build in the 6th point, which is to be less serious and be playful on top of those things. And your life will be just so much filled with delights from all the small moments. I think the second parts of these have been more like everyday tips that will help you. The first parts have been more about how to be successful and how to figure out what path to take in life. And so 2 very different sections of these hard truths that I've had to figure out for my own life. I hope that they may be beneficial for you too. And these are lessons that have taken me a long time to figure out. I wish I had known these when I was 20 years old and been able to understand. Maybe I probably heard somebody say them, and this is it. The problem with advice, and even me telling you this, everybody has their advice, and we hear these advice. Even when we're younger, we probably have heard something similar to this, but you don't take it on, you don't onboard it, you don't really get it. And I think even me at that age, I think maybe I'm the only person that I would have listened to at that age, my own self. And even then, maybe I'd still ignore myself in the future, thinking I know better because I was 20 years old and stupid and arrogant and thought I knew everything. But if I had just known some of these things, my life would have been so much easier and better, and I wouldn't have had to struggle for so long. But some stupid reason, we have to go through our own failures, and it's the people that are able to take on advice from other people that it really resonates with them, that are able to then use it and really turn their lives around in a very short period of time. You know, within a few years, they could have made something out of themselves. But if you're like me, you have to go and figure out all your own failures and all your own lessons in life, and that is the unfortunate reality that most of us go through. Is, you know, wisdom is a path that is taken on through all your hard roads, all your failures. It makes you a lot wiser, but it is a long and painful journey to become wiser. And unfortunately, for most of us, that is the only way to get it, because we will hear all the wisdom in all the books that you listen to, all the videos that you watch. But unfortunately, unless you live the experience of it and go through the failures yourself, you will not take on the learnings. But hopefully, I hope that any one of these points, like even the appearance one, that's the easy one for anybody to adapt. Or like the no shortcuts, you know, like they're small things, but like they can really be simple things that if you just take them and run with it, you will find massive benefit to your own lives. Anyway, thank you for listening. I hope these have been helpful. I wish you the best of luck.